Welcome to Equal Ground Headlines. I'm Samuel B. Williams, bringing you balanced coverage on our top stories of the day. In the United States, a Palestinian graduate student's immigration detention has become a flashpoint, sparking protests and debate about free speech in the post-October 23 climate. The case involves 30-year-old Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University PhD student and prominent pro-Palestinian activist. Khalil was arrested by U.S. immigration agents in Manhattan early this month, despite having no criminal charges against him. He's been locked up in a Louisiana detention center ever since, as the government moves to deport him. On Friday, a federal judge in Newark, New Jersey, held a hearing on Khalil's bid to be released while he fights the deportation. Outside the courthouse, crowds of supporters gathered with signs and chants, showing how Khalil's plight has resonated far beyond academia. They see him as a canary in the coal mine for a broader crackdown on student activism. Inside the courtroom, Judge Michael Fabias stopped short of ordering Khalil freed, but also did not hand the government an easy win. The judge said he'd consider whether New Jersey or Louisiana is the proper venue for Khalil's case, effectively keeping things in a holding pattern a bit longer. The crux of the issue is that Khalil and many other foreign students participated in campus protests against Israel's actions in Gaza. Those protests swept numerous U.S. colleges last fall and since, sometimes drawing fierce condemnation from politicians. The Trump administration has responded by taking an unprecedented hard line, revoking the visas of hundreds of foreign students who joined pro-Palestinian demonstrations. Officials argue that such activism harms U.S. foreign policy interests. In Khalil's case, because he's actually a permanent resident, he obtained a green card last year after initially coming on a student visa. They dug into his old visa application to find discrepancies to justify deportation. Indeed, the government's stated reasons for detaining Khalil revolve around alleged technical omissions on paperwork. They claim Khalil failed to note on his visa forms that he'd been affiliated with the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, and that he had a past job at the British Embassy in Beirut beyond 2022. Khalil's lawyers call these assertions bogus. He did an unpaid internship with UNRWA as part of his studies, which he did disclose, and he left the UK embassy job when he moved to New York, just as he stated. Even the British government confirmed Khalil quit that post years ago. To Khalil's advocates, this looks like a pretext to punish him for his political views. He's well known on campus for organizing rallies and speaking out for Palestinian rights. Importantly, he hasn't been charged with any crime, not related to terrorism, violence, or anything else. The Trump administration's stance is that immigration law allows them to deport a non-citizen for misrepresentation, or if they deem someone's presence contrary to national interest. They've effectively branded outspoken pro-Palestinian foreign students as undesirables. This policy has had a chilling effect. On many campuses, international students now think twice before attending a protest or signing an open letter. They fear ICE immigration and customs enforcement could come for them next. Critics say it's a blatant violation of free speech and academic freedom. The ACLU and other civil rights groups are closely watching Khalil's case, seeing it as a bellwether. If the courts allow his deportation, it could open the door to ideological litmus tests for foreigners in the U.S. At Friday's hearing, Judge Fabias did something notable. He basically warned the government not to transfer Khalil or do anything irreversible while jurisdiction is sorted out. This came after Khalil's lawyers argued he should be released to be with his wife in New Jersey, especially as they're expecting their first child in April. His wife, a U.S. citizen, sat in the courtroom anxiously as the judge spoke. The Justice Department's lawyers, representing the Trump administration, want the case moved to Louisiana, far from Khalil's community and legal team. Louisiana falls under the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, known as one of the most conservative in the country. It's not lost on observers that the government prefers that venue over New Jersey, which is under the more liberal Third Circuit. Khalil's attorneys argue this is blatant forum shopping. They filed in New Jersey because that's where he was initially detained, and because he has strong ties there. As it stands, Khalil remains in detention for now. The judge's decision on where the case will be heard, New Jersey or Louisiana, is expected soon. If it stays in New Jersey, Khalil's chances of being released on bail while the legal process plays out likely improve. If it's shipped to Louisiana, he could be stuck in jail far from family indefinitely. Broader context. President Trump has cast pro-Palestinian campus protests as part of a scourge of anti-Semitism and hate that he vows to eliminate. His administration already pressured universities to discipline students and even floated pulling funding from schools seen as tolerating terrorist sympathizer activity. Now, by targeting foreign students, Trump is using immigration as a tool to enforce a political line. American student activist citizens can't be deported, but their international classmates are far more vulnerable. For many, this is a slippery slope. Today it's pro-Palestinian speech. Tomorrow, what other views might put a visa holder at risk? The outcome of Mahmoud Khalil's fight could set an important precedent. As protesters outside the courthouse declared, education is not a crime. Protest is not a crime. The courts will now have to weigh in on how far the government can go in treating political speech as grounds for expulsion from the country.